Hello. Welcome to the Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap. I'm Abbas,
And this is Nainika.
and I'm coming to you from a very hot Mumbai, and Nanika is coming to you
A
from a
scorching
hotter.
Delhi. No,
a
actually it
scorching
rained
Delhi.
today, but otherwise it's been hell.
Oh damn! As you can imagine, as you can guess rather, we both are in front of you, which means Abhinandan and Rajshri were not available for this week as well. So yeah, you're gonna have to make do with us. I think
No
we're growing
more
on you.
make do. No more self-deprecation. I'm very happy to be here. So everyone
Yeah.
else should be as well.
I was just gonna tell the listeners that this time actually we've got mail. Yes, people have given us compliments.
We've got love letters, Abbas.
Love letters. Yes. So we are growing on you clearly. So today on the show we're going to be talking about two Netflix shows and two Netflix films, or one Netflix film and the other one, is it a Netflix film?
Disney.
The other one is a Disney film. But none of them are Desi or Indian. Today we've gone full
Western.
full Hollywood. We've gone. So Nanika, what do you want to start with?
Let's start with Moon Knight, since Jude was very excited to talk about it. And I suppose I am once again ready to be roasted to death by having my opinion about something Marvel aired in public. But yeah, I can't help it. So, Abbas, before I start talking about Moon Knight,
I have
do you
to.
know? Yeah.
I have to first tell that this time round the equation is reversed. As in, Nanika has seen 3 episodes of Moon Knight. I have seen none of the episodes because I'm waiting for it to get over, and I'll probably binge
Whole
all
thing
the
together.
episodes together.
Fair.
But yes, Nanika, you were about to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you have any exposure to Moon Knight as a comic book character, and what do you think of it?
I have very little exposure to Moon Knight. I've only really come to know about the character, I think, in the last couple of years. And essentially, the one line description that I have heard of the character is it's Marvel ka Batman. And I don't know how accurate that is, but the way he dresses and the whole gothic nature of his look and his flowing cape and the fact that he's this very dark superhero, like metaphorically, made me very curious about him. But I know very little about the comic book mythology and the origin story of Moon Knight.
I'm glad you mentioned that he's supposed to be the Batman of Marvel, because if it wasn't for your input, I don't think I ever would have seen Moon Knight as a character, as any version of Batman, because it didn't come across as that to me, particularly in this series. But I mean, starting with my thoughts on the show, I thought it was I was initially very excited when I started the first episode. Well, the character, the premise is this is a person with very clearly with dissociative identity disorder, and they're tackling with some supernatural powers that has got something to do with Egyptian mythology. I was a huge fan of Egyptian mythology as a child, so I was very excited about the premise. But I feel like, again, at the risk of putting myself on the stake once again, I feel like just like every other Marvel show, it's sort of, the story is oversimplified. It takes a backseat, and it's more about the character, it's more about the action, it's more about the aesthetics of the character, and it's supposed to it's very clearly geared at mass appeal. So it felt a little lacking to me. Like, I started it with a lot of enthusiasm, and I was like, okay, this could be a show that I'd be really invested in. And I still have a moderate, I'm some 3-4 episodes in, I still have a moderate healthy amount of interest. I might be tempted to finish it, but yeah, I felt like it started off very strong, and then it started tapering off for me right there. It's very heavy on CGI. I feel like there are a lot of complaints from people also, like the suit of Moon Knight, or Moon Knight as a character, it's not like his suit isn't like a real thing, that flowing cape and everything, it's all CGI, which I thought was a very strange choice. I mean, they could have done better and more realistic if they had put him in an actual costume, and sort of given the characters more meat, given the story more meat, rather than making it so simplistic. Especially Egyptian mythology, which has so much potential to be dramatic and to be interesting and to not be simplified. But yeah, they messed up there. So
Tell me a little bit about when you say it's somehow connected to Egyptian mythology. So Oscar Isaac is playing the lead.
Yes,
So
he is.
I mean, give me a brief synopsis of the thing. Does he ask for his powers from Egyptian gods? What happens? Because
No,
I
he's
have no
supposed
idea.
to be an avatar of an Egyptian god of justice who
Ooh, okay.
delivers justice based on your actions. And then So the story is so far like, some friction between this particular Egyptian god that serves justice once, the sin has been committed, versus a goddess that preemptively gives the punishment. Like, she'll look at your whole life, the past, present, future, and she'll met out the justice to you if she thinks you're going to do terrible things in your life. So somebody's like, she would have killed Hitler before he got to where he got. So, things like that. So I suppose it's a very interesting premise, but they again oversimplified it, treated it with no, didn't treat it with the meat. But I suppose like they pump so much money into all these Marvel shows that they have to make the mass appeal. They have to make it viable for the people to watch, which is why they can't have a story that's too intense, which is why they can't have a story that's like emotionally very heavy. Because back when Netflix, like around 2015 or so, when Netflix used to do Marvel TV shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, even though the sets weren't as expensive, I felt like there was a very interesting, like I particularly loved Daredevil and Jessica Jones a lot. And I felt like there was an interesting, weight given to the story. It was complex, it was dark, it was moody in a way that wasn't geared at mass appeal. But yeah, like Disney plus Marvel, whatever they're getting for, it's going for mass appeal and it sort of takes away from the story. So I guess if you're a long time fan, you're going to like it and you're going to probably rate it higher than all the other stuff Marvel comes out with. And I also am like not completely writing it off. I will want to finish it and talk about it further.
So have you seen the other Disney Plus Marvel shows that have come out? WandaVision, Loki,
No, I haven't.
Winter Soldier. Okay.
No.
So I have seen all of them but Hawkeye, which was the one they did before Moon Knight.
Right.
And amongst them, I really liked WandaVision.
Mm-hmm. I've heard very good reviews about WandaVision.
Yes, but I had a very similar complaint with all of them is exactly what you mentioned, that in the first couple of episodes it's a very promising premise.
Yeah, always.
But by the time it comes to the final episode, it is just people flying in the air fighting with each other.
I mean,
so
I feel like Disney has a huge CGI budget, so they're like, we must use the whole thing.
So it's very interesting when you said that you like the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Because the creative director behind those shows, when Marvel set out to make this extremely expensive and huge studio, they gave the reins of the television department to a writer called Jeff Loeb. And Jeff Loeb is also a very very prominent comic book writer, and he has written some really good stories. And Jeff Loeb's whole outlook was that the big CGI action set pieces are for the movies. When it comes to the TV shows, I'll make it, as you said, more intense, more hand-to-hand battle, hand-to-hand combat and all of that. And because it was on Netflix and he had the freedom to go R-rated, some of the shows were also a little mature,
I mean, you look at
themes.
like the first season of Daredevil, I think is genuinely good TV. I genuinely liked it. You look at Jessica Jones, that's a very interesting, very complicated female character, and a female character like a superhero-esque female character, and I'm like, like the rest of Marvel doesn't treat its female characters that well or with that complexity.
True. So the Netflix shows kind of fell flat on their face except for Daredevil, and so now Jeff Loeb has been fired from his job. And now Marvel is very consciously making sure that everything they put out on any screen, whether it's streaming, movies, everything,
it's got that Marvel standard.
It's got that, it's got the very heavy CGI and
heavy
visually
combat.
it kind of looks the same.
It's visually very adrenaline packed. Like, it's combat scenes, it's intense, has got monsters on the screen. So I understand the appeal.
Are you interested in watching Doctor Strange, which opens this
I
Friday?
will be watching it.
2?
I'm the same friend who made me watch Spider-Man. Also specifically has the tickets booked 2 weeks in advance, and I will be going to watch Doctor Strange. So
have I. Even I have tickets booked, but I have to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of this whole thing where you have to do homework to watch Marvel movies, because now people are saying there are gonna be Moon Knight references in Doctor Strange which you will not get, so you have to watch them. I'm like, I don't care. I'll make do with what I have. I will check out Moon Knight.
Yeah, it's getting very competitive to keep up with Marvel. But I suppose, the fan base is so big. They actually like doing all of that. So good for them. I feel like.
Yeah. I'll clap when someone appears on screen who I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's that guy from that thing. Okay, cool.
Okay, and I need to, before we go.
Yes.
What do you think of anywhere. What do you think of Oscar Isaac as an actor, apart from Moon Knight?
I really like him. So you know what? Have you seen this film Inside Llewyn Davis?
I've seen the trailers, yes.
So Inside Llewyn Davis, I saw the film at a film festival, and this was when Oscar Isaac wasn't the big star that he is today. and his portrayal of a broken, struggling musician was so
Yeah,
authentic.
yeah.
Uh,
He looked
you know
very
that
good in that film, I must say. Even if he
yes.
was broke and struggling and starving,
So
probably.
he does he sings all his songs in the film.
Oh,
He plays the guitar and he sings all of that, and the pain of the struggling musician, right? Like if you see the film, I mean, spoiler alert, but the film does not end on a very positive,
positive
happy
note.
note.
Okay,
Okay, he's struggling at the beginning and he's struggling by the end as well,
okay.
and he crosses paths with a lot of musicians, real life musicians who actually went on to be really big. So it's this. That film is very much about the art versus commerce
Mm-hmm.
ka
Mm.
sort of clash.
Oh,
So
a
I
very
loved him
depressing
since then.
area of. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And then Oscar Isaac came in Star Wars. So and
Oh,
I'm a
he got very
huge
popular.
Star Wars fan. Yeah. So I just like his vibe. He's very positive.
Very
He's
charming.
very charming.
Yeah. I
And
remember when he got
yeah.
like insanely popular on Twitter because he was with that Jessica Chastain.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
and they were at that
Scenes
red
from a
carpet and he was
marriage.
very affectionate towards her and all of Twitter was going wild about it.
Oh, I'm
Fun,
sorry.
fun time on the internet.
All right. So now let's move on to Apollo 10 and a half, which is a very beautiful Netflix film which I saw. Nanika, did you see it?
I did, and I'm so glad you recommended it. I thought it was adorable. I loved watching it. I genuinely enjoyed it. So, yeah, great recommendation, Abbas.
The complete title of the movie is Apollo 10 and a half, A Space Age Childhood, and it's directed by Richard Linklater of the Before trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. He also made Boyhood, which again is one of the best films about childhood I have seen. And what he does in this particular movie is he employs this technology called rotoscoping, which is when you look at the film, it looks animated, but the actors still look like their own likeness.
They
So,
do,
for
yeah.
example, yeah, he did this twice before in a film called A Scanner Darkly, where which starred Keanu Reeves. So you will still see Keanu Reeves' likeness on screen, but it'll be like a cartoonish version of him. So he's done that with that and another film called Waking Life. But I think I mean those films came out in the early 2000s, and now he's developed the technology enough to really sort of make it look gorgeous on screen. And there is no plot as such to the film. It's really about Richard Linklater reliving his childhood while the first moon landing is the process of the first moon landing is happening side by side, and that is interspersed with this imagination of a child, which is, I'm assuming, Linklater himself imagining that NASA approaches him to do a trial run for the moon landing before the actual moon landing, hence Apollo 10 and a half before the famous Apollo 11 takes off. The voiceover is done by Jack Black, and it's really just describing the 60s through the various experiences that Linklater had. And I just love every little detail that he goes into, right? From the backyard he used to play into to the cola cans and the ads and TV shows that he used to play on his TV. It is just, I think, one of the best films about childhood. My childhood is as far removed from a suburban kid living in the 60s in America, but I just found it so charming and so endearing, and it was absolutely lovely.
I think my thoughts are exactly along the similar line. A significant part of the movie is about the child describing what it was like to live in Houston at the time when NASA was about to launch the lunar mission. What I like, I remember growing up and so many kids around me wanted to be astronauts because I was still on the tail end of that generation where going to space was one of our biggest scientific achievements. Like this was right the sweet spot before internet and smartphones became ubiquitous. So right before that, it was like the coolest thing you could ever imagine technology doing was like taking a man to moon. Which is why I like that. It was a very cute movie. The movie, half of it is more than half of it is just about his childhood. So, which was very adorably done, very beautifully discussed. I am a huge fan. I mean, I genuinely would recommend everybody to watch it. But yeah, so the story is very clearly about a boy who loves spinning stories, right? Like it's even in the movie, like while he's talking about it, it's described that everybody in the class calls him as somebody who spins a lot of lies. Abbas, were you a child like that?
Um, I was, but only for a very select few people. Like, I wasn't the one who would go in front of the class and tell the whole class about how amazing what a great adventure I had. But the few friends that I had, when we would exchange stories. I would definitely add a lot of masala to my to my stories to make it more presentable.
You were aware
Yes.
of which audience you could fool, and that's a
Exactly.
great
Yes.
insight to have as
Yes.
a child, you know. But yeah, I was thinking about the same, like, you know, all the kids that I knew as a child who were like really, really good at spinning stories. I don't know why I didn't do that, because I had a very, like, I used to like daydream a lot and had a very rich private inner life, but I didn't lie about it for some reason. I should have.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's movie is also like a very beautiful look into how children have very deep personal private very rich inner lives that, you know, grown-ups sort of tend to not think so much about or not care so much about. But childhood really is a beautiful nostalgic time. What I really, really liked about it is like the underlying theme is like a sense of hope that the lunar mission brought to the entire story and brought to the entire theme of the story. Like, even in the movie, it's described that America in the 60s was not going through an easy time. There was the Vietnam War, there was the
Yeah.
Cold
Yeah.
War,
Yeah.
there was what came
Civil
out
rights
later to be
movement, which was
realized as, you know,
happening.
like so many suburban problems and
Yeah.
industrial issues that would occur later. But it very clearly is a time of hope. And I feel like, at least in my childhood or like for the generations that have come after me, I don't think there's that strong sense of hope regarding anything anymore.
Definitely not now.
Yeah, definitely not now. Like, it wasn't like there wasn't overarching like narrative of hope when I was growing up, but now that's completely absolutely destroyed. Like, when I was a child, the only narrative that you could particularly look forward to was the fact that the earth is going to heat up and you're all going to die, which is well on its track right now. So yeah, I feel
Has it
bad.
uh,
Like,
has
there's
it
no sense of
happened to
hope.
you when I was thinking that, you know, when as a child I remember there was a line in our science textbook that you know, the sun will one day eventually burn out,
Yeah.
and it's going to take around 20 million years to do that.
Yeah.
And as a child you were like, 20 million years, that's like
That is
so much
so
time.
long.
And now I'm like, 20 million years, that's it? And then the sun's going to burn out, all everything we've worked for, humanity has done, will be gone. Yeah, doesn't seem very positive. But
Yeah, I
I
suppose,
think
you know, same like in the movie also that theme, right? Like when they go out to space and when they look at Earth, like those like people like there's going to be a shift in consciousness when you see the Earth from outside and you're like, all our nonsense is pointless and how our existence is really tiny. But it never really ended up happening. Like, people never really ended up grasping the fact that human life is both absolutely meaningless and devastatingly meaningful. And you know, it's just that there's no
Wow.
sense of like technology.
For a
is
second, I thought I was a poetry open mic, Nainika. That was very profound.
Don't disrespect me like that, Abbas. This is not a what poetry slam. But yeah, I mean, there's that like now technology moves so fast and it's so like hopeless in general that I feel like kids can't really children and their imagination can't really grasp onto any one particular
Yeah.
thing, any one particular sense of wonder, because we see like technology is pretty much miracle after miracle right now, and we don't really understand the full scope of how difficult it was to get where it is. And I feel like
Yeah.
like even my parents' generation that saw it starting from like black and white TV, no phones, to now having smartphones, even they can't grasp like how big of a deal it is. So I don't expect children to understand it. And I
Right.
really do wish like we're experiencing similar levels of political turmoil and, you know, just like in general hopelessness, but there's no shining beacon of hope. Like, there's no sense of things are going to be all right and we're going to be, you know, bullish about it and we're going to do something or the other that will get us to the other side. So I guess that sucks for us, and it was nice to have and window into a time where hope existed and you could hope
Yeah.
about life. So, you know, thank you,
don't think,
Linklater, for making this meant a lot to me.
You don't think Elon Musk is taking us to Mars?
I mean, see, he breaks the charm by being on Twitter the whole day and talking about his thought process. If he was just doing it secretly, I'd be like, okay, fair, maybe you can do something. But then I see him on Twitter every day. It's just like,
Okay, let me ask you another question. In our lifetimes, if you think that moment comes where there is an opportunity that you can migrate to another planet, we find a livable habitat in some other planet, and let's say you get that chance, will you do that? Let's say climate change, which as I wipe my forehead, as we can see, it's doing its work. So in the next 20 years, things accelerate to a point where this planet is becoming more and more unlivable, and there is a chance. And let's say you can afford that journey.
Interstellar story.
I know, and you can afford that journey. Money is not a object here. that you get a chance to go to another planet, would you?
I mean, of course I would, but life nowhere would be as beautiful as it is here. So,
Yeah, but don't you think it's so much pressure going on another planet and like settling there? It's so much like you have
you
to
see, it's
start
very,
from
even
scratch.
if we do manage to live on another, planet, it's not going to be like, we're not going to live there. We're going to be on settlements.
Yeah.
Like people on Arctic and Antarctica, they have settlements there. I feel like we
Right.
live exactly like that. There's no meaningful inhabitation. There's no meaningful survival for us beyond Earth, at least in this solar system, which is very stressful. I'd love to visit, but I don't think like
I
I
can
I could
imagine
live
people
there.
people looking at this footage 3,000 years from now, pointing
Oh.
at us and laughing. Oh, these people thought they had it good on Earth.
Fair.
I
But
know.
you know that same
Uh,
like what they it just like brings me back to that. What was it? I'm forgetting. Which was that the Voyager that carried all that data and everything on it.
I think so. Yeah. The
I
best piece
think it
of
was the
music.
Voyager, but they
Yeah,
decided
yeah.
to put like the sounds of like children laughing and
Yeah.
greetings and songs and music and so many beautiful things on it. And I feel like we had hope as a humanity, and I think hope is overarching emotion about humanity. But we're running out of it, and there's nothing that produces it now. So before we completely move on from Apollo 10.5, Buzz, do you have any piece of childhood media that you're very attached to?
Ooh, so many. Like my existence is like full of childhood nostalgia. Where do I begin? I'll give you some which are coming in my head right now. I don't know if this will make any sense to you, but there used to be the Mowgli Jungle Book, which used to
Yeah.
get Jungle Jungle Pata Chala Hai.
Yes.
That was my first, I think, exposure to any kind of cartoon. Then Disney had two shows, Tailspin and DuckTales, which were dubbed in Hindi. Okay, so now I go on Hotstar and I watch them in Hindi. Okay, I don't want the English version, and
Because
thankfully
it
they've
reminds you of your
maintained.
childhood.
Yes, and they've maintained. And you know what? The Hindi dubs were good.
Oh.
It's not like they did a lackluster job,
Mhm.
and they would give them like Indian quirks, right? So if there is a pirate in Tailspin, they would give him Bambaiya ka gunda wala accent. Okay, so I'm
Interesting.
like that's clever. You know, they've made
That's a
that.
translation done with the subtitling done with a lot of thought behind it. That's good.
Not subtitling.
Sorry,
Dubbing.
translate. What do
And
I call it? Dubbing?
Yeah. And the dubbing artists were like Javed Jafri
Oh,
and Nana Patekar and all
nice.
these like
Good stuff.
pretty good stuff. Yeah.
No.
Then have you ever seen this film called Baby's Day Out?
Yes, who hasn't? Oh, I
So
adore
Baby's
it.
Day Out was the one film that I remember going again and again and again to watch. And I recently found out that Baby's Day Out and Dunstan Checks In, which were huge in India,
Were not hits
especially
outside
were
at
not hits
all.
abroad,
They
yeah.
flopped, exactly.
Yeah.
Like their primary market was India, which is such a sweet little detail.
Yeah.
Cute.
And even the reviews are like 1-star reviews where they are murdering the film. I'm like, are you
What?
kidding me? This
Baby's
was
Day
my
Out was
childhood.
adorable. Yeah, I've
So,
also
yeah,
watched
those
it a
are-
lot of times as a child. I think it was lovely. Very cute.
What's the one thing from your childhood that you still keep going back to?
I'm trying to Tom and Jerry, I guess. It holds up.
Aw.
Because it was
Okay.
genuinely, I remember being a child and back then there was like one TV in the house and everybody's fighting for the remote. My grandfather wants to watch cricket, my dad wants to watch the news, and I always wanted to watch cartoons. And I remember my dad being like, just change the channel, you're not going to want to watch it like later on in life, it's stupid, you're going to grow out of it. And I was like, I'm never going to grow out of watching cartoons. I'll watch cartoons when I'm 50 also. I don't watch cartoons anymore, sadly. So but I like the conviction that I would love something that I love right now forever, which is nice.
But then
yeah.
what is forever, like we just discussed? Everything's gonna burn out. Guys, you can listen to the rest of the episode on newslaundry.com or any other podcasting platform that you prefer, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts. Please find us there and listen to the rest of the episode. See ya.
The subscription model is something that keeps News Laundry afloat, but we need hundreds of thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free, और गर्व से कहो मेरे खर्च पर आज़ाद है खबरें.